coughing before the show even starts. All right. I'm not coughing anymore, so here we go. Welcome to the Commissioner Evaluation Show. I'm John McGlynn, and you can find me on the Twitter machine at JohnMcGlynn75. And today, I had the pleasure of breaking down the first 7 rounds of a new Dynasty Campus to Canton Startup League on this show with my home league adversary, Scott Sidlow, who you can find on the Twitter machine at Scott_Sidlow. And I also had the pleasure of talking with Kyle Senra, who you can find on the Twitter machine at Senra Says. You guys want to introduce yourself? Go ahead, Scott, go first.
What's up, homies? Yeah, check me out on Dynasty Junkies, live Thursday nights, 8:30 Central Time. And yeah, man, should be fun to talk about this a little bit. I started getting more into C2C, and looks like it's kind of the wave of the future, right? You start playing redraft, and then you get into keepers, and then you get into Dynasty, and then you get into, Devi, and then you start doing these C2C, and next thing you know, you're scouting high schools, and now I'm looking for kids outside in the neighborhood. So it's a gateway.
I feel like I'm that kid. Like I look at that kid in the Cam Newton video. Like, yeah, I'm your mom's favorite player. I'm already scouting that kid to see how he's doing now.
That's right.
But, show that arm strength early.
Yeah. How about you, Kyle?
So I'm part of 2 websites. I'm with Full Press Coverage and Going for Two. I podcast or live stream with both of them. With Full Press Coverage, I've got the Full Press Fantasy Pod as well as the Full Press Packers Pod. I know you guys are both from Illinois, so maybe that's not so welcome here. But yeah, Full Press Fantasy Pod, we're about to start our 4th season, so it's been absolutely fantastic. My co-host Brad and I, we have a blast. This week we're going to be recording a couple of episodes about all the coaching changes, and specifically, what are the offensive sort of fallouts from all these coaching changes, not just head coaches, but also offensive coordinators. So we're going to try and give some fantasy actionable stuff for that. With Going for Two, I've got the Press Coverage Show, which is a kind of a one-on-one interview show. I know something John's done before with his commissioner evaluation show in the past. So it's kind of that similar style, just getting to know one individual in the fantasy community. I get to talk about some fantasy stuff, but also some real life non-fantasy football things. And then I also have the Dynasty Gambit. That's on Thursdays at 8:30 Eastern. So if you want to hit the Dynasty Gambit every 2 weeks, and then after that, you've got the Dynasty Junkies. If you want your Dynasty fix on Thursday nights, check it out. I guess it's all on YouTube.
That's right.
It works out great because when I work on my midnight shift, I just throw in a pair of headphones and I listen to you guys on your shows. I got good internet at my work, so I can listen to all these shows. I put them on YouTube, put them in my pocket, and just listen to them when they're on live. Sometimes I get to chime in. I was able to chime in sometimes, but if my hands are dirty or I'm doing something, I can't. But it is nice listening to you guys. I learned so much in your guys' shows.
We know you don't work, John, but we appreciate you listening.
Well, I have a job. I don't work. I'm kind of like Homer Simpson.
That's exactly what I picture too. That's exactly what I picture when you say that.
All day long, yes. So today we are going to talk about. I have this first 7 rounds of this C2C Campus Canton League, and what we're going to do is kind of break it down. This is great. I mean, it's right up your alley, Scott, and it's kind of what I've been reverting to. Just an anti-running back kind of draft. It's like Cam Akers just went in the end of the 6th round. Alvin Kamara went in the 6th round. Like, guys are just dropping like flies in this whole draft. So you guys might like the. There's a hand like every draft. There's a couple questionable situations going on, but it's that's everywhere. So we'll see how these ones. What you guys think of the draft. You could bust my Stentines a little bit if you want to for my draft picks, but I think I only have 2 players besides quarterback so far, so you can't really do too much damage. So what I'm going to do here is share my screen for your viewing pleasure, and then we'll get started.
I think everyone would rather look at a colorful draft board than our faces. So.
That's right.
No doubt.
All right. So can you guys all see this okay? It's color-coded with red as quarterbacks, blue as wide receivers. There's a teal color, green for running backs, and orange for tight ends. I think most people are familiar with Sleeper. In the top corner, I'm not sure how big this is. I can kind of blow it up a little bit if it helps. But in the top corner, it'll show who traded. Actually, the bottom corner in this, it'll say who took over. There's some trades involved here. A handful of trades, not too many, but there has been some trades. So What we're looking at first is I'm actually on the clock now, so you guys can help me make my back-to-back picks at 7:11 and 8:01 when we get there. But I started out the draft with 101 before I knew it was a third round reversal. They kind of threw it in after I already said it was 101, so I got the shaft on that one. But I'm happy to take Josh Allen with the 101. I would have definitely. I like the corners, so I would have took 101. But it also means I had the number 12 spot in the rookie or in the Canton the campus league. So that's why I got the number 1 on this side.
It doesn't make sense to do a reversal if you're reversing it for that. But anyway,
okay. Well, is there a third round reversal also in the campus to Canton one though?
Good point.
I don't remember. That was like 3.5 months ago when we started that. Some guys are on the clock. I'm not going to name any names, Nate, but some guys are on the clock for like 14 hours at a time. So like it's like, oh, the 35 round just got done like this week, and like, let's start the NFL side. I'm like, all right, that's fine with me. I like drafting.
So that was college only players, and this one has the rookies for this year, correct?
It's rookies for this year are included in this one, yes. So,
okay.
Kevin got to the 112 on this side, so I would have loved to have the 112. But I started out the draft, and I had my choice of my 3 quarterbacks who I was going to take, either Josh Allen, Mahomes, or Justin Herbert. I have Josh Allen. I have enough Patrick Mahomes in our league, so I wanted to start out with Josh Allen. And with his rushing touchdown, with his goal line back ability and everything, I think he's got a little bit more upside than those 2 guys anyway. So I went with Josh Allen.
Is it 6 points per passing touchdown or 4?
It's 6.
Okay.
So
I like it.
And then
because he does throw enough touchdowns as well, so it's not like he gets hurt in that format. But just quickly about Josh Allen, I mean, it's tough to finish back-to-back years as the number 1 overall at any position, but quarterback, like it's so many great quarterbacks every year. So for him to do that, you'd almost say, oh, he can never do that again. But the odds of him repeating for a 3rd straight year are probably just as good because it's so hard to do it twice in a row. If you have that capacity, you could probably do it again. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's QB1 next year as well.
And I think they're definitely going to get some wide receiver help. It's not going to just be Diggs.
Wait, you mean Gabriel Davis isn't the
Davis
second coming of Jerry Rice? Are you sure? Because
one 4 touchdown game sure does get you some publicity. I guess,
wow, yeah.
But he was on everybody's radar last year, the end of last year, this year a little bit, but he didn't do anything minus a couple games. But one huge one, obviously, and when everybody's eyes are on the playoff games, it's something that everybody notices. All of a sudden,
take advantage. Sell high.
Well, maybe you draft him right here and then sell him immediately after.
Well, I don't know. Well, Mahomes went second, kind of as expected. And then we had a little bit of wrinkle in the bed sheets here with Cooper Kupp going 103.
Yeah, that's wild.
A little wild. I was kind of like, okay, but that's So anyway, Corey Spalla walked right into Justin Herbert at 104. And then Kyler Murray went, which is a little bit high. Kyler Murray's kind of on a turmoil. He's not, he's good. I think he's a little bit. I think I would have took him after Lamar Jackson, after Joe Burrow.
The 6 point. That's one where like the 6 point passing, I might put the Burrow Dak tier ahead of the Lamar Jackson Kyler Murray tier.
Definitely.
So like it's I think especially if there's points per completion, I don't think that's the case here, but that really skews it. But yeah, that's one where I have those 4 guys kind of in the next tier, and it might come down to what the scoring settings are to who's going to be the QB4.
I'm going on scoring settings right now because I could have sworn it was 6, but
Kyler fell to 10 in the startup. I just started a couple weeks ago here. So Burrow, Dak, Lamar all went ahead of him.
It's 5 and 2. It's 5 for touchdown and 2 for interception.
Okay.
So
I think I'd be still tempted to go Lamar Jackson there, to be honest.
That's
me. That's me personally. But I think I can't fault anyone for taking any of those 4, really.
No, they're interchangeable.
Personal preference.
Yeah. So Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson. Then we started getting to Jamar Chase, which is, it's another one of those.
Well, and Andrew's a Bengals fan, so that's his boy.
Actually, I think I saw him tweet about that, where he said he purposely passed on Burrow, thinking, like he could have gone Burrow as well.
Well, he should have.
I would agree as well. I think the quarterback's at super flex, so maybe you could razz him on the next.
Well, listen, if you have Burrow, you get what Chase does too. So you go with the quarterback. But
I don't think no matter what he did there, if he took Burrow, he wouldn't have got Chase, and if he took Chase, he wouldn't have got Burrow.
Yeah, I agree. Take one or the other.
I agree. But
I
you look
think
at his second pick, I'd rather have Burrow and Tyreek than Chase and Tyreek.
No, I would agree with you there. I think for him, I think he was saying, he tweeted out that he didn't have any Chase or very few little Chase. So this was an opportunity for him to get that player and diversify. So
his portfolio, as you know, Scott, his portfolio had to be diversified.
That's right. I get it.
Jonathan Taylor next. No argument there. That's
stud.
It is what it is. Yeah.
One of one.
Justin Jefferson. And then Kyle Pitts. This is a tight end premium. It's half PPR and then 1 point tight end, 1 point full. So it's a half point premium for tight ends in this league. So
it's funny because you'd expect those to be the first 4 non-quarterbacks taken, and they're all, any of them could be like that first non-quarterback to go. Chase, Jefferson, Taylor, Pitts, they all go back to back, but none of them are the first one because of Cooper Kupp messing it up. So it's funny,
right?
Like that,
crazy.
I feel like you get that range where you have all 4 of those players kind of going similar. It's okay, which receiver do you want between Chase and Jefferson, or do you prefer Taylor? Do you prefer Pitts? Like, what position do you want to go at? So interesting that they all went 4 straight picks.
Yeah. And Burrow, Trey Lance, another one. I am not a Trey Lance guy, but I could see where people are tempted to grab him there just in case he does pan out. But he's just, with
Swift, the RB2, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
I don't blame. I mean, that's another one that these top. I think these top. Well, after Taylor, I think Javonte Williams probably would have been my second, and Swift third, and then not. I think probably Najee and Javonte, just because Najee's workload, there's nobody else there. Javonte all depends on what happens there. If Aaron Rodgers lands in Denver and there's no more
all those guys go through the roof. Yeah, I get it.
So I would put Williams would probably be my running back 2 at that point in time. Swift, Najee would probably be my tied for running back 3. I wouldn't know. I think it would be Najee and then Swift would be the running back 4. But
I am having a hard time distinguishing between those two. Who's my RB2? Who's my RB3? I like both because of the pass catching.
Yes.
But in this league, half part PPR, maybe that does give more credence to going for Javonte if you think that the touchdown upside is there. And full point, though, I definitely would prefer Najee or Swift. And it's funny, Swift's got the skill set for it, but Najee just had so much opportunity with like so many targets. So either way, you're getting that pass catching upside. And enough goal line work as well.
Yeah. And not that I love workloads for running backs, but I think Javonte and Swift are just going to have a longer. Swift's already been hurt, as far as that goes, but I think they're going to have a longer shelf life because they're not getting beat up every game. Najee's going to get 25 carries a game. I mean, I love it, but how long is he going to last with that kind of work? It's going to be like a Zeke where as soon as he turns to, or Todd Gurley, as soon as they hit the 24, 25 year, or he's already 23, right? 24 this year.
He's an older rookie. Yeah.
Yeah, he came out at 23. So
one contract and sell.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's, and he had a lot of workload in college too. So
yeah.
I'm just
yeah,
kind of. He wasn't like a
later. Yeah, right.
But it's he's just somebody that I think that he's going to take 2 or 3 years of like just a beating in Pittsburgh, and that's it. They don't have an offensive line, so he's getting hit in the backfield almost every play too. So
the Lions do have a better offensive line in that case, and like you're saying, he's not getting as many hits as much.
Yeah, exactly. But this next pick here, this is a real head scratcher.
Justin Fields.
Why you would ever take Fields over Dak is mind blowing.
Well, I'm on the same with Lance as well.
Other than
like
age,
both of them.
I mean, but yeah, no, totally. Both of them. It just makes zero sense to me. We've seen that the Bears are completely inept as an organization. They can't do anything with offense or a quarterback, and you would take them over Dak. Like that's wild to me. I think guys really, you have to value age in startups. I understand, but man, you're talking a guy that we just haven't seen anything from. We have no idea who he's throwing to. And then you go to another guy who's proven it year after year. He's in a pass happy offense. He's got great weapons. It's like, that to me just makes no sense. Unless Dak was 40, then that's the only way. But yeah.
Is Dak even 30?
I think he is. I think he is just 30.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say he might be 28, 29. Like he's still not that old. But yeah, I definitely think it's a clear tier of 7 quarterbacks, and
he's gonna be 29. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at that. I mean, he's wow. He's already been in the league 7 years. So you think he's older, but he's not. He's not.
I think there's a legit case, like the person who took Burrow could have easily taken Dak there, right? I think that those two are pretty closely linked. It's funny they both got injured in 2020, but like both should be high volume passing guys throughout their careers. Which again, in this format, it's in the middle, right? 5 points per passing touchdown, they get a bit of a boost. So especially with that, like to take Lance or Fields over Dak is a little surprising there for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, kudos to the person who decided I'm going to go Kyle Pitts here and hope a quarterback falls to me and they get Dak. Like
man.
And I don't I'm not really a big Pitts fan, but like that's a great start here.
Good for him. Yeah, that's awesome.
Herms,
that's awesome.
Good job.
Good job, Herms. Good job.
Najee drops to Mr. Bowers here, and then Javonte.
So Taylor, Javonte back to back, and then we'll get to his third pick. But yeah, that's a nice start.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill to Andrew, your guy.
Andrew goes Tyreek. Okay.
Roro, King Craig, Mark Andrews. I mean, you can't. He's
the
probably
Lamar stack.
I was thinking that. Yeah, that might be if you're thinking the tight end premium.
Okay,
that might be the best 2 ways to go.
I like it.
Jaylen Waddle was a fan favorite here. Somebody was like
Jaylen Waddle is the wide receiver 5. Have you guys been seeing that in drafts where he's going as the wide receiver 5 in a startup?
Not 5, but I've seen him go up high as like wide receiver 13, 14.
4. He was wide receiver 4. Granted, he went 2 picks. No, what is that? The 208?
1, 2. Well, minus the Cooper Kupp pick, which shouldn't have been there, but it is 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 5.
Yeah,
it's the 208. Yes.
So he went wide receiver 4 in the 206 in mine. So yeah, that's right there.
This is I wonder, is this like the Mike McDaniel hire coming from the Shanahan system? We think, okay, good, solid head coach, Wes Welker as the wide receiver coach. Like, are people kind of buying into that?
Well, when they said they're going to use him in the Debo Samuel role, that's kind of like that's like
he's not going to run though.
No, he's not. He's not built like
no.
that.
I think maybe like the depth of target, right? Like we're gonna pepper him with targets. They're not going to be, a lot of them won't be downfield, but
lots of screens and
the NFL's going that way though. The NFL's a yards after the catch league now. So
slant boy part 2.
That's right. Yeah.
Probably a little earlier than I'd take Waddle, but I get it. If you kind of want to get in early and you think he's the next big guy, like that makes sense.
Yeah, AJ Brown. That's you can't argue with that. Stud man, extraordinary.
Man, I wonder, like the person who taking Herbert there, Corey, going Herbert. Did they think they were going to get AJ Brown back? Like that's a pretty great start too. If you say that,
great,
phenomenal.
Start. That's probably that's not gonna lie. It's probably my favorite start so far. So it is what it is.
Up there.
I'm not a Kyle Pitts guy.
Yeah, so. I might actually. Yeah, I'm because I'm not a Kyle Pitts fan. I'd probably agree with you there, John.
Yeah, 2-1, Scott. Beat it, right?
Well, I can tell you what I'm not a fan of.
We're not going to talk about
this guy.
Anyway, Austin Eckler. Last year I made a bet with one of Nick. I was by Nick Scripps' garage watching these games with a couple of his buddies, and his friends like, Austin Eckler's going to be in the top 5 running back next year, and I'm like, let's shake on that right now for a jersey. Any jersey you want. So what
jersey did you buy him?
Austin. Well, I didn't buy. I just told him pick a jersey, whatever you want. Even if he didn't, I'm like, there's no way he's gonna be top 5. There's absolutely no way. And sure enough, he's like the RB2 this year.
RB2 in total points. Yeah.
Well, he stayed healthy for once, and they gave him goal line work. So it's like, yeah, you couldn't have bet on that.
All the stars aligned, and Austin Eckler.
It didn't hurt his reception. Like the reception total wasn't hurt by it.
Well, wasn't like week 1 he had like 1 and everybody was freaking out, and then the next week he had like 15. We're like, okay, he's back.
Long story short, I bought an Austin Eckler jersey this year for a game.
Symbolic. Yeah.
So
this is a nice start too, though.
Yeah, Mahomes and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I don't know if Nate thinks this is redraft, but Kupp and Eckler is such a. I mean,
I almost made that thought too. Like, did he think this wasn't a dynasty because of like even the next few picks too, right? But
wait, before you order, there's more. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mahomes, Russell Wilson. That's a nice start.
Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence.
Yep. I mean, I like the value there on T-Law. His upside's still great. We know what Doug Peterson can do with quarterbacks. He'll get him back to where he should be. I
think they're going to be on a express train rebuild now with Jacksonville because they were at such a low point. They have so much cap money. They have what 3 second-round picks or 2 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks.
Yeah, they're gonna have some talent
as well as the 101. Not that this is the draft to really have the 101.
Well, they'll go defense 101 or not. I think they're gonna go off the line, right?
That would be helpful. That would be helpful.
When you have nothing,
their line's not bad though. Like that's not the issue with that team. Isn't the offensive line? Like say with but the Bears, for instance, or even the Bengals, right? Like I think I think you just basically take the best player. I think if you're Jacksonville at the 101, like we get the best college prospect this year. Like we don't care what position it is. I think that's kind of the best way to go about it.
Right.
From what it sounds like, it's either going to be offensive line or edge rusher. Those seem to be like where the blue chip guys are. But it's funny because I think like normally I'd probably go Jalen Hurts here, especially knowing you have Josh Allen, John, as you've got that long-term stability. As your QB2, you can take a real upside shot on Jalen Hurts. But with the 5-point passing touchdowns, that does sway it a little bit. So I do get the Trevor Lawrence pick here. But I will say I do find it crazy how far Hurts falls. We'll get to that a little later. But
wait,
I don't find it crazy.
Don't you have?
So you obviously weren't considering him then at all, John.
No.
Okay,
Zero.
fair enough.
I'm a quarterback guy, and I think I'm looking long term at my picks, not in my. I don't want to win in a 2-year window or 3-year window. This is a campus Canton league. I think everybody's expected to be here for like 5, 7, 8, or 9 years, and I don't think that Hurts is going to be here more than a year or two anywhere. So, as a starter anywhere in the NFL. So, he might have one more good fantasy year this year, but fantasy year is not the same as an NFL good year. That's just my philosophy, anyway.
Yeah, I think in C2C, it's important too that you have guys that you think are going to be around a while, and I think that's the same mentality. It's just because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline, and I mean, if you have some Devy gurus in your league, like I'm not a Devy guy, so I knew that I would get my butt kicked by the Devy dudes in the league would just be grabbing up all the value, and I would be hurting in that position. So I knew I had to get good long-term quarterbacks in my startup, and that was my goal. So I would probably take Lawrence over Hurts as well, but I definitely understand the having the anchor of Allen and doing the upside of Hurts, because I did that exact strategy in a startup last year as well. I took Allen and then I took Hurts because I felt like I could take the risk. So I totally understand that. But it wasn't Hurts the next pick here because we had the reversal, right?
Yep.
So Jalen Hurts was actually the very next pick.
So you don't have to wait that long, folks.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we talked about these guys literally are on the Devil Royale show. They do. I mean, it's Jeff Bell, Christian, and Kevin.
Jeff and Kevin are incredible. So yeah, we know that they're gonna. When you have those guys in your league, you know they're going to crush you on the Devy side, so you better get some long-term assets.
It's funny. You mentioned Jeff and Kevin are incredible, and I was listening to the recent episode of Devy Royale, and Kevin's talking about how Christian's just a madman. Like the stuff the depth charts he's going through, I know they just released their Devy manifesto, and it's like all the depth charts for every college school everywhere, and like they say they use it as much as their patrons do, or probably more. Like they're constantly referring to it as this thing that they created partially for themselves, and now you join their patron, it's accessible. So yeah, like I think they're doing great work at the Devy Royale, those three. So, yeah, it's tough competition. So I get that. Like it's tougher to replenish those rookie picks, right? Like it's not like a traditional league where you just if Jalen Hurts sucks, I'll go to a class and try and get a few of the early first and try and take my shots on a quarterback there, right? So I get that aspect. And again, the scoring with the 5-point does make sense to go Lawrence.
I feel like I'm in the league with like the version of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Herbert in those three guys that are in this league with me. Like, and I know that it's just, I feel like I'm
Jeff's the Bills fan. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he probably was pissed that I got Josh Allen, but whatever. Too bad. So, all right. So Hurts went in 301.
So his start was Lance, Swift, Hurts, and I love the high floor there that he's starting with potentially.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the ceiling. I mean, I guess I like these guys short term. Lance is probably going to get a shot this year. I mean, he's 100% going to get a shot. They're going to get rid of Jimmy.
That's okay. He's going to crush you on the Devy side, so he's got more prospects coming up. So he'll be fine if he only has him for a year or two.
His entire draft list, all 35 rounds could be complete busts, and next year he'll probably win the league. So
that's right.
All right, CeeDee Lamb, which Twitter
still my guy.
Twitter hates him right now. I don't know why.
Still my guy. I'm buying, baby.
Oh,
hey, you want to sell me CeeDee Lamb? Give me all the CeeDee Lamb. Let's go.
Yeah. Then we got Diggs. Ended up not having a superb year next year, but it would have been a nice. I don't think I would even real reach for Diggs where I was at. I think I like DJ more than Diggs at this point anyway. But I think I got lucky. But it's just me.
You get the younger guy with more, even though you lose the stack, but you ensured you get that quarterback, right? I
bought 4 years, and I think a guy that has maybe even more upside than Diggs, as far as that's concerned.
And as much as I say it's a top 7 quarterback and a bit of a tier drop off there, I think it also does kind of a bit of a tier drop off after you get to like QB 14, I guess 15 if you like Rodgers. But like again, like you're especially thinking long term, you don't really want to be going to the Rodgers Stafford tier. Like you want to get your second quarterback before you hit that tier. So knowing if you passed up on quarterback in that second round, you don't get the 2-3 turn, right? You got to wait all the way to the end of the third, a full round. So it makes sense to start QB where you're at early.
Yeah, I kind of had to. And then I like Zach Wilson. I know the rest of the world doesn't like him at all.
I do too, but out of the 304.
No, it's a little bit
pretty early.
I got him at the 608 in mine. So just for a little reference point there. And that includes some rookie picks. So that pushed him down a few spots. But yeah, at the 608 comparatively to the 304.
I still think there's a lot of risk with Wilson. If I'm taking that risk, I'll just take Deshaun Watson. Give me the upside of Watson at that point. I know it's more risk with Watson, but I think it's also much more upside. So if I was now, this is also their first quarterback. I think the person who took Watson, we'll get to it later. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead, John, but as the QB2, makes a lot more sense. Whereas, you don't really want to start it off with Watson if that's your guy and he doesn't play this year. If you're competing, that's not great. So at least getting the young quarterback to kind of anchor the position, and then you can worry about the points with your other guys. You want the value first. So in that sense, it makes sense. But yeah, I guess I didn't talk about this on the podcast before. With quarterbacks, I really want to get into that top 7 because I don't want to be at this point debating, do I want to take the risk on Watson or get a younger guy or Stafford or Rodgers? I don't want to worry about that. I want my quarterback set before that if it's a super flex. Kudos to you, John, for going QB to start because you don't have to worry about this.
Agreed.
I would have. The problem with Watson is I think, yes, I believe he's going to be a much better quarterback. I already know he's a much better quarterback than Wilson, but the problem is, I think when he does, even if he is cleared of all this stuff, the NFL is still going to serve him a 4-game or a 6-game suspension. I don't think he's going to come right back into clear and walk right back.
He missed a year. I mean,
well, I know, but that wasn't suspended. That was the team. He was an eligible player. But
he was choosing to hold himself out for sure. I do think, but I'm also not as concerned with the suspension because if you tell us right now that Deshaun Watson's serving a 6-game suspension this year and it's done,
he's in the first round for me,
right? So that's a bit more clarity. I think the bigger risk is, do they suspend him for a full season, or this doesn't get he gets suspended next year because this year they still he just holds himself out and then nothing's resolved. I think that's more the bigger risk, is that nothing gets resolved this year. We don't get any clarity.
Right.
All right. So Christian McCaffrey, these guys got Taylor, Javonte, and Christian McCaffrey on the same
That's
team.
Wild. That's actually a wild start.
That's the place to take McCaffrey if you're going to make RB a strength and you don't rely on McCaffrey getting
your third running back. Can you imagine?
Right? That's
EMC's your third running back.
Yeah,
That's wild.
That's a nice 1-2-3 stack for running. You only start 2, but we have 3 flexes too, so that's pretty nice. Matt Stafford. I mean, that slow and steady wins the race here. This guy's
so I think that helps out Andrew a lot. Honestly, we're giving him some shit for taking Chase over Burrow, but now he's able to get Stafford. I think Stafford in that offense the next few years, he's going to continue. Hopefully they can protect his blind side. We'll see if they can get a left tackle here. But that really helps the team overall. I really like that pick for him. I think he got incredibly lucky. I'd take Stafford well over Zach Wilson at this point. Probably even Fields and Lance, to be honest with you, because I'm not worried as much about age with quarterbacks. I mean, here's the guy that we know is doing it versus a guy, guys that we don't know if they can, right? So to me, it's like, I understand the age, but again, if they can't do it, they're not going to be around as long anyway. So
he was the QB5, right? So to your point, Scott, and one of the guys ahead of him just retired. So
right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13, 14. He was the 14th quarterback taken. So yeah, that's tremendous.
Yeah, that is great. I mean, Stafford does throw his body all over the field. He does get injured once in a while because he's such a ruffian. But
the back injuries may be a concern. He didn't show up last year though. So
yeah, he played. He played.
If OBJ is probably going to miss all next year. His injury happened so late. I don't think he's coming back next year at all. But
I don't know, man. Those Rams got some magical potion over there. Think about Akers, man. We didn't think Akers would be back, so
we still didn't think he'd be healthy by this point. Let alone
see if he resigns. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I think as long as he's got Cooper Kupp, I don't think it overly matters
He's got
who else is
Van
the wide receiver
Jefferson's
too.
still there. We'll see if they bring in a tight end.
Then
Woods will be back.
Woods will
I
be
know
back, yeah.
he's coming off an ACL too, but his was
Just about
earlier.
how he recovers, yeah.
I think he'll be fine, and
Woods
they're
is
not going to stop throwing it.
Woods is a huge buy right now because he's going to fill that role.
He's
OBJ.
Yeah, he's cheap.
All right, we got Debo Samuel here. That's a great pick. It's about the right spot. I like Debo, but I don't love him like everybody else does. So
agreed.
Mixon.
I think I'd take Diggs and Lamb ahead of him. So yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mixon, Joe Mixon here. It's he blew up last year. It's the first year he didn't get hurt it's only because I traded him away. He didn't get hurt this year. That's kind of how that worked. So I've had the guy since day one in almost every league, and he got hurt. But he's one of those guys who comes out like after 2 snaps and doesn't finish the game, or it's like,
frustrating.
So
it's frustrating.
But he had an MVP season this year because I traded him early to P-win.
Thank you for that. I'll pay attention next year to the guys you trade. So we'll keep that in our back pocket.
Keep watching this podcast, folks.
That's right.
Listen to John's trades.
You'll win your championship if you take all my guys I let go and trade it away. Yes.
Or if they just trade with you.
Yeah. Anyway, Travis Kelsey went next. You can't go wrong there. It's him and Kittle went back to back.
Yeah, I mean that's Nate's going all in. He's got Kupp, Eckler, and Kelsey. Now I don't know if he's going to have any quarterbacks, but he's got 3 top players at their position, but old. So he's got to. If his strategy is, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to win year 1 or 2, and then I'm going to play with house money for a few years. That's perfectly viable for a startup, and generally works out a little bit better. I found because everybody's going towards the youth. You can get those vets cheaper. Now, I actually did a same strategy with my startup, but I got Kelsey at 502. So he's over here at 311. So again, a lot of, he had Kupp at 103. I got Kupp at 302. He had Kelsey at 310. I got him at 502. So there's a lot of variance there in the value. And so I'm actually feeling much better about mine. I didn't want to take Kelsey at all, but it's like, it's the 5th round. I mean, what do you want me to do? I guess I'm going all in for this year. Right. But, in the 3rd round, I just think that's a hard pick to make with his age and everything going on there. And I don't know, the Chiefs got something weird going on, man. It's like they can't sign free agents and like they can't develop their rookies, and Kelsey is getting older, and I don't know. It's interesting. It's we'll see what happens this offseason. I know they focused on the offensive line last offseason, but they're going to need maybe some help there, maybe take a little pressure off Kelsey, but he's still going to be, he could be like Tony Gonzalez, right? Even if he doesn't have the run after catch, he's still going to get the volume. He's still going to get the touchdowns. So you stick with him as long as you can in these tight end premium leagues.
Kittle's showing his age right now too a little bit, but he's such a explosive player. He blocks hard. He runs into he's a guy that kind of creates friction between him and the defensive players. Like he initiates hits all the time. He's one of those guys. He likes throwing his body all over the field too. He's like the Matt Stafford of tight ends here, but his body's showing he's getting hurt every year now because of it. And when it's lower body, like your feet and your knees and stuff like that, it racks up pretty fast in the NFL when you don't have much time to recover. Because they're in the playoffs every year in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. That's less offseason than the rest of the league that has to recover. So, excuse me, sorry. Then we went with my guy DJ Moore. I had to take him here. I love DJ Moore. I don't care, portfolio, whatever. I have him in every league known to man, so he's just my favorite.
So yeah, all right. Maybe you can finally explain this to me, because I tried on Twitter and I got murdered. But I don't understand the DJ Moore thing. This guy has 1 season as a wide receiver 2. I don't know. Like I don't understand where he's drafted versus how he finishes. So in this draft, it looks like there were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's wide receiver 10. How many seasons of wide receiver 10 or better does he have?
I think probably just the one, right?
It's his potential though. He's had terrible quarterbacks throwing to him. I know the guy is good. He needs a breakout opportunity. And you could say that about a lot of players, I guess, but DJ Moore just is one of those players that I know. Him and Chris Godwin are players I just know they have the potential. Chris Godwin was showing it last year. As the year went on, like he was lighting the league up, and then he got hurt. Like so, I don't know. It just they started out slow with Brady last year, but at towards the end of the year, Godwin was killing it. DJ Moore started out real hot, and then as soon as McCaffrey got hurt and the whole offense collapsed, all of a sudden, the quarterbacks were playing merry-go-round. The offense didn't filter around the running back, so the play action and the screen passes weren't there anymore. So he kind of got rat-holed and getting double covered by a safety and a cornerback. So he was the whole offense at that point in time.
I don't disagree with any of that, and I really liked him as a rookie. I had him. I was picking him up at the end of the first round in a lot of drafts, and I was really happy with that. I like him a lot. He's a good kid. He's a great athlete. I think he's a very good receiver. But here are his finishes in 4 years in the NFL. 4 years now. So this is going to be Devontae Parker, 5th-year breakout.
He's only 24 years old. He's only
this
24.
is 4 years. Yeah, he's still young, but he finished wide receiver 39 as a rookie. Okay. He finished wide receiver 16, second year. That's his highest ever. 16, a mid-second. Okay, then he finished wide receiver 23, wide receiver 18. So he has 3 straight seasons of being a mid to late second, wide receiver 2.
And he's only 24 years old.
But he's not anywhere near the value he's drafted. He continually is drafted in top 10 in startups, and he's never been higher than 16. He's been 18 and 23 the last 2. Even he had 163.
I was going to say
last year.
163 targets for 18
targets.
Yeah, that volume is pretty
Julio
impressive.
Jones of wide receivers. He doesn't score touchdowns, right? And he doesn't get so. Offense, whatever, fine, all that. It's like you can wait for the breakout. You could keep waiting. I don't know. It's been 4 years, but has he really broken out? Is he consistent? Does he give you some of those big blow up games? Yes, I like him very much. But for his value, for what you'd have to pay for him in a trade and where you have to take him in a startup, makes 0 sense to me. So the entire world apparently thinks I'm wrong, and I will just go down with the ship because it doesn't make any sense to me. The guy's never more than a wide receiver 2.
He had 163 targets, and like 57 of them were not drops; they were bad passes. It was so. It's not like
those were the Sam Darnold targets. I totally agree with that. I'm not disagreeing, but
which maybe his quarterback this year too, right? I think the touchdown regression people it's funny. He's a case study for. Does touchdown regression really happen? He scored exactly 4 receiving touchdowns each of the last 3 seasons with over 1,100 yards. I know Peter Howard, I've heard him mention the stat before, like the NFL average for the last decade is basically about a scrimmage touchdown every 150 yards. For his career, he's got 4,300 yards, and I divided by 150, he should have almost 29 touchdowns. So it's 28.7. He's got 14 in his career. So he's literally scoring a touchdown at like half the pace he should be. Does that continue, or as soon as that changes, does he vault into the top 5? Right. So it could happen any year, but it's still not happening. Right. So I'm kind of torn in the middle. I think there are a few wide receivers I would have taken over DJ Moore, including the guy that I know John's got his cursor on right now. Not anymore. Yeah. I like him, but it's maybe also the same type of arguments of underperforming, touchdown regression needing. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I could see where I could see the path for him to turn it around is simply just score touchdowns, but that's easier said than done.
Would you prefer he signs somewhere else after this year, Kyle? If you went somewhere else, would that increase it for you? Would that push you more?
Not if they have a bad quarterback. I just want the Panthers to have a good quarterback, right? It's more. It's not even the team. It's just the quarterback. Get a good quarterback and it'll be fine. I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So maybe that does mean leaving. Maybe the Panthers are incapable of finding that Cam Newton replacement.
Yeah. What if he signed in Cleveland?
Maybe they need to sign Cam Newton again.
Oh God. Well, then I'm dropping him.
Yeah. No, I think
Cleveland.
Yeah. I wouldn't drop him, but I would be pissed. Yeah. So I traded my pick in the Canton side of this for Caleb Williams. I got rid of the 401 and I got the 605, I think it is here, or 606. But I also got Caleb Williams, a quarterback from USC, as in the Canton side. It was a previous trade from the last lead that carried.
So you got Caleb Williams and Matt Corral essentially for Tua.
Yes.
is
I'll
basically how
I'll
you
take
look
that.
at, and that's crazy because if you would have known it was Tua, you would have never done the trade. Mr. Tool Hour over here.
I just
but
traded
yeah.
him in two. I traded him in 3 leagues now. I don't even have him
Yeah.
anymore. I just
Yeah. Okay.
that was the
We'll
problem.
see.
That's how people got the 101. That stupid ass trade with Brian that
Yeah.
got me to.
Okay,
Oh,
so
fuck.
Andrew, now after getting Stafford with that trade, he was able to take Tua. So now he's got Stafford Tua. So now I like his team a lot less, but it's still he got 2 quarterbacks. So after
If I-
not taking 2, we're getting there.
If I didn't make that trade, I would have took T. Higgins right here. It would,
Okay.
So that's Metcalf went next to Philly Cheese, and then Jeff Bell traded up to get T. Higgins here. Which when I'm like, man, I was really rethinking that trade. But I'm a quarterback guy, and I think I think Caleb Williams might be one of the top quarterbacks coming out. So when
I think I would have just gone Higgins over Moore, I think, instead. But
there you
that's
go.
just getting me personally.
There you go. Me too.
It was literally like 50-50.
If you didn't take DJ Moore there, you wouldn't have got him, right? Like he would have gone in the next round. So
yes,
if you wanted him, you had to take him there. Like that's kind of the acquisition cost of him.
As they say when you're drafting, reach for your guys. I reached for my guy.
Well, and we could make the same argument on Higgins. 2 years, finished wide receiver 28 and 24 PPR. So yeah, same thing. He's a wide receiver too, but obviously you love the offense he's in and the upside. So you could basically make the same argument for DJ Moore, and yet because I love T. Higgins, I'm not going to. So
can I say this? I think DJ Moore's a better player, but I think T. Higgins in a better situation.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah,
okay,
that's fair.
Right. Treylon Burke's off the board here.
That's wild.
I like that it's so early. Okay.
Yeah, that seems really, really early to me when you have guys like Devontae Adams still on the board.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I watched some Burks this season or last season, and I like him. I think he's incredible. I mean, he's like 6'5", and they were playing him in the slot, and they were kind of doing some gadget stuff with him and getting him the ball, and so it's really gonna depend on where he goes. If they try to draft him in Atlanta and make him the X, and get rid of Ridley, and now Pitts is in the middle. I don't think that's going to work, so it's really going to depend on where he goes and how they deploy him. And so that's a little bit early for me.
I want him to go to Cleveland actually
for the risk, but yeah, I mean, I could see that. Something where he's going to be involved in more of the longer running game, right? Where it's the extended handoffs, right? The screens and the sweeps and all that type of stuff where you're getting the ball in his hands and working off that run game. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Especially if Jarvis Landry leads. Sorry, Scott.
I don't know if that. Well, I mean, because if Landry's there, Landry's in the slot. So you're right. Then he's not probably not going to be in the slot. So yeah, that's right. But with a guy like Adams on the board, it doesn't make much sense to me. But again, this is a little bit different startup, so you have to factor that in.
Derrick Henry. This goes to Nate, who's got the another geriatric team here.
Oh yeah, Nate's got to get the oldest guys.
So Nate still doesn't have a quarterback at this point. Then
he does not.
It's going late round QB in a.
But he made up for a little later. We'll get to that. But he did okay. I mean, I wouldn't say he's good right now, but he actually landed on his feet kind of.
Are you able to click on his name and it highlights his players since there's been trades and stuff?
Here's what's going to happen.
Will you be able to?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I never knew that before. Look, this is great.
Yeah. So now we can see exactly who he has here.
So it is just the 1 through 7 rounds.
That's yeah. I mean, it's a high floor team, that's for sure. And that's good. But little to me, I couldn't do that in Superflex. So we'll see.
But just to go back on the Corey's. Just Corey start though, like to go Herbert and then Brown, super safe, and then take 2 super risky picks with Watson and Burks, right? It's total upside for those two. So in that sense, I could
strategy wise, yeah, I'm on.
If you're talking points upside, though, I do get your point of going Adams there. You've got the young guys, you can maybe afford to take the productive older guy, but yeah,
still like it.
Corey's numbers guy for every one of these picks is like, analytically thought out, so he's a big time numbers guy.
I love his team. I love his strategy. Yeah. I love what he's doing there overall. I'm just saying maybe that pick in that spot, but again, you have to look at the overall. So yeah, I do love what he's doing.
I love this pick here.
All right, Gibby. I want to get an Antonio Gibson jersey because he's like my favorite. I'm in love with this guy. I drafted him everywhere. I traded up in startup when he came out for him, but I just think I think this is the season he's going to break out. I don't think he's really broken out yet. That's just
I love that start. Balance at each position. Jackson, Andrews, Debo, Gibson, right? You've got your stud at each position, and you can kind of, you're not, and I don't think that any of them were a reach at that position either. Like they just got maybe Andrews a little bit, but there's the tight end premium. So I mid-second, it's kind of where his going cost is. So yeah, I love that start for those. Those first 4 picks, that team's very balanced.
Andrews went 111 in mine, so I like where he got him at 2.7. So even though it does seem like it's high, it's actually pretty good value. I agree.
Andrews is the tight end 1 as far as I'm concerned. Until Pitts knocks him out, I think Andrews is the tight end 1.
Yeah,
and I'm still stubborn and say Kittle because it just for me it's the yards after the catch, right? He what he does that way, like there's no other tight end that really we hope Pitts could eventually become that, and I know I'm hoping Jonnu Smith is that.
Yeah,
but, like I think that's the irreplaceable part of Kittle. That's why I still have him as the tight end 1, but Andrews be my 2 and same tier.
Having Trey Lance concern you at all?
No. I think, I mean, to be honest, they didn't really pass much anyway with Garoppolo. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I think if Lance is as good as they think he is, I don't think he's going to be that much of a downgrade passer than Garoppolo was. So,
yeah, but
I think what we saw last year is the games where Lance started, Kittle was not getting the passes. But let's see what happens when Lance actually is the guy in training camp and actually gets to pass with these guys. So I don't want to just condemn him after the 1 year. But yeah, it didn't look great, I will admit.
They are a running offense that throws the ball not that much, and they're going to throw the ball a lot less now with Lance, because I mean it is just a running team.
He's still the main pass catcher, and I think they were 30th out of. I think they were 28th out of 32 passing last year. So
it feels like it's always down there. Like it's not going to go up, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to drop that much just because they're already so low anyway.
Right.
So your boy Devontae falls over here to the 4th round.
Okay.
That's a good pick. Especially it all depends on where Rodgers goes. I think Rodgers staying in Green Bay, so that's probably a solid pick for another 2 or 3 years.
Adam's style, it's just he's probably going to get franchised, honestly. But regardless of where he goes, he's going to produce for a couple more years, and then he'll probably fall off a cliff. So he's going to be one of those guys where you've got maybe a couple years left, and so I understand why he's a little bit risky startup pick.
If Rodgers ends up staying in Green Bay, which I think is going to happen, like those two could literally put blindfolds on, call play, and run it without even seeing anything and still catch the ball. They're that in tune with each other. So, Mac Jones, it's a solid quarterback too.
Bauer, what are you doing, man?
To go Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, eh?
Oh, Bauer, what is happening over at the Dynasty?
Yeah, Stafford, Mac Jones would be a better combo. I get that.
I just love giving Bauer shit. So.
But up this 4 really young picks, like all those players are in their 1st or 2nd year. So
yeah,
or now 3rd year, about to be 3rd year with Jefferson.
But, to me, Mac Jones is one of those guys that if he's your 3rd quarterback, like in that league we were talking about earlier, where I went Allen and Hurts, Mac is my 3rd. I like that because if there's any injuries, if there's a fill-in, he's great for that. But I don't want him as my starter. I know exactly what he is, and it's going to take just an incredible variance year for him to be a QB1. He's just never going to be there. And so it doesn't really make sense to me. But who knows, maybe they'll trade for Ridley and, sign Adams, and then they'll be throwing 40 touchdowns a year. So what do I know?
Mac Jones is a high floor guy, but low ceiling makes sense as a compliment to Hurts, right? So,
sure.
Maybe make this maybe see Zach Wilson actually being a really high variance, low floor guy. In that sense, Mac Jones is a nice compliment to Zach Wilson, I guess. Okay. Depends who he gets as his 3rd quarterback. Does he go after another high upside, rushing quarterback? Like, I don't want to say Taysom Hill, but someone like that. Like that might make sense to the builds. And then maybe you're holding Jones because like the advantage of having Jones as your 3rd QB, like you're saying, is the high floor means that you're comfortable starting him any week that you need to, but you don't want to rely on him most weeks. So as a good bye week fill, it as a QB3 makes sense. But if you're where you're taking him and you're not necessarily saying, okay, he's my 2nd quarterback, I have to play him every week. If you get a 3rd guy later that you feel comfortable, you can maybe play with the matchups there a little more. So
okay, I get that.
Yeah, I get it. Deontay Johnson.
PPR I think he's going to continue to be a value until they get a quarterback because, The guy just he figured it out. He got his drops under control last year, so he's going to continue to. Hey, there's the Mac guy for you, McGlenn. There's a Mac guy for you. So I mean, he's going to do what he does, and honestly, this will probably be looked at as a value once they get some sort of quarterback other than Rudolph.
I think it's another great start there. Pitts, Prescott, Diggs, Deontay. Like that's a solid 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a running back guy, so I like seeing some green, but to not go running back, like that's about as good as you can get.
It's kind of the norm here, so it's
that was the draft. Reading the draft room made sense.
TJ Hawkinson, Jeff Bull. This is one of Jeff Bell's trades with Nate, so he end up getting. It was part of the trade where we moved up to get T. Higgins. Now he gets TJ Hawkinson also.
Okay.
Spot, so
yeah, nice.
It's pretty nice. J.K. Dobbins here to the boys, to Kevin.
I don't love the pick because I don't really like Dobbins. But I like what Kevin's doing here with that start. Those 4 guys can really get you that rushing every week, plus, the touchdown upside. And so, I really like what he's doing overall, even though I don't necessarily love the player.
All entering their 3rd year or second year for some, like for Lance, for instance.
Good young team there.
Then Garrett Wilson.
Listen, I would say... rookies. I don't care, but with Kevin, he knows what he's looking at there. So if he feels like Garrett's the guy to go with there, and then especially what he does after that.
What an idiot. What is he thinking?
Yeah. No, I'll trust him.
Wide receiver 1, right? That's a little risky going wide receiver 1 as a rookie, but
again, but now that we could see his next couple picks, now it's like, okay, now I like it much more. But yes, at that time, it would have been a little concerning.
Yeah. Christian takes Nick Chubb, which he's a guy that fell a lot further than probably he should have, but this seems like a right place too at the same time. Is that weird to say that? Nick Chubb's someone that everybody wants to move away from right now because he's only got 1 year left in his contract and it's a running team and they're not sure if they're talking about keeping Kareem Hunt and I don't know what's going to happen there, but if they get a better quarterback, they won't run as much. I don't know what the story is there, but I love Nick Chubb. He's still got a couple years left in him. He's only 26, so.
Well, and I thought they just extended him, which is the bad news, right? Like you want running backs on their rookie contract, but he, I guess this is the final year of his rookie contract, but I guess next year the extension kicks in,
right?
Because he's signed through 2024. Okay.
Yes, got it. I see that. Yeah, 2 years left.
I wish I could have got my hands on some Travis Etienne, which was the next pick over here. That's I think he's going to be really good in this league. But that's especially with Trevor Lawrence now as teammates before. I hope they get Justin Ross and all 3 of these guys can kind of come together.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be awesome.
LSU South, or I guess East. Yeah. Sorry, LSU. I think Etienne actually benefits from Doug Peterson.
So do I.
One of the things we saw was Miles Sanders' rookie year. Doug Peterson, maybe he's switching out the running backs here and there, but he was willing to give Miles Sanders 63 targets as a rookie. So if Etienne and his appeal in fantasy football is his pass catching role, his connection with his quarterback Lawrence, I think he's going to get ample opportunity to be that pass catcher, and maybe he gets 50 receptions like Sanders did as his. Technically would be Etienne's rookie season, not his rookie season, but his first year in the NFL. Kind of like Sanders, maybe catches 50 passes, and the James Robinson Achilles tear.
Yeah,
I don't think Robinson's going to start the season healthy. I think maybe towards the end of the year he comes in and gets the carries. But I think even if that happens, as long as Etienne has the third down pass catching role, I think he'll be fine. So I actually like the Doug Peterson hire for Etienne.
Nice pick, Herms. Jerk. I wanted this guy.
Yeah, that's 5. That's a great start for Herms.
Yeah, he's doing really good. Dallas Goedert here for Bowers. It is what it is. Aaron Rodgers. I just wanted to hear you make fun of him or say something about it. Aaron Rodgers here is his first quarterback. That's not a bad pick at all, man, for the 5th round. So
you're not going to get a quarterback that's going to score more points at this point. So
no way, not even close.
It makes me, I guess I won't even say where I took him then. I actually took Rodgers at the 202. So yeah, that's great value. I figured he'd last just because the age and all the offseason stuff, but that's how important quarterback is to me. So I'm willing to pay for it. And it didn't turn out hurting my team considering I got Kupp 2 rounds later than, he went in this draft. So I guess it evens out in the end. But,
right.
But yeah, very interesting. He lasted till that point. That to me is a great value.
Pat Firemoth. You got Pat Firemoth here for Team Andrew Hall in the 5th round. It's not bad either.
Bengals fan taking a Steeler. He must be good. He must be good.
Or
I like Firemoth, but I think he's in that like 6 to 27 range for tight ends. Like
right.
He's got a couple touchdowns and stuff. He's touchdown dependent like most of them, and that's about it. I don't think he's anything special.
The tight end dead zone, right? Like not the place you want to be reaching.
He's in that. Well, I don't want to give away my people I like, so I'll just say he's okay. Whatever. The draft's we're only around 7 to 35.
That's right.
So
That's right.
No names here. Saquon in the 5th round. This is crazy how far some of the running backs fell, but Barkley's been hurt for the last couple of years. Different offense coming in there, which I think will benefit him this year, actually. But he is a running back, and quarterbacks are king here, and there's a tight end premium, and there's a couple good receivers. So for him to fall to the middle of 5th round here is
it's a great spot, right on par with this team. He's going to fall in line there perfectly. That's again another high floor team there with the upside. I love it. It's probably one of my This most resembles probably one of my teams, other than the fact that he now has 4 running backs. That would never happen for me. But but the value
you have 4, but yeah, not through 7.
Yeah,
rounds.
right. The value on Gibson and Barkley to me is very nice there. It would be hard for me to pass up as well, considering the next few picks that we're going to see here.
Those are, Gibson and Barkley back to back for these 2 rounds. I'm drooling over those 2 picks right now.
That's very, very nice value.
Nice job, Craig. And then we got David Montgomery was a Nate traded.
Did Nate get confused there because the spot was out of place and he was like, this guy's not over 30. Maybe he just clicked the wrong button. That's okay. That's all right. You can use a younger player, Nate. Good job. Granted, he's probably he's got 1 year left and we'll never hear from him again. But other than that, good pick.
Right. Like a typical Bears move. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And we got Malik Willis. So
this is I don't know, through 5 picks, this is probably my favorite team.
He's going with the variance here, going with the upside. So this most resembles my team.
Herbert, Watson, Willis. So, I love that QB start.
Yeah, that's tremendous upside. If all those guys, if Watson comes back and Willis hits, sky's the limit for this team.
AJ Brown.
You can move some pieces around if you want there. You can add in whatever you need. When you have 3 studs like that, again, it's still have to hit. There's still some unknown here, but love it. This is how you do a startup.
Willis is so polarizing to me, but if he hits the ground running in the NFL, this team is phenomenal.
Yep.
So I get it. And then Nate waited till round 5 to get Derek Carr, which is, he's got good numbers every year. He's just a solid quarterback. He's what was he last year? Probably quarterback 6 or 7.
That was his best year. His best year. He's not done that.
I think he was. I'll look it up, but I still think he ended up finishing like 10, 11. Like I don't think he was 6 or 8. I'll look it up.
He was 13. He was 13. So that was his technically in 16. He had a 12, but again, 20, 14, 12, 19, 20, 17, 14, 13. He's never going to be a QB1, especially after the year he just had, where he had more attempts than he's ever had, more yards than he's ever had. The touchdowns weren't quite there. Waller was hurt and he doesn't have great options. Listen, if they're able to pull off getting, a Devontae Adams or something, I love what Josh McDaniels is likely to do with this offense. I think it's going to be a boost for him for sure. And he's a competent quarterback, but again, he's never more than a QB2. I personally am not a fan of Derek Carr. I've basically traded him for nothing, and I'm on record with that on the Junkies. I've told the terrible trades that I've given Derek Carr away because I just think he's not a good quarterback, and I don't think he'll be around much longer. So, I understand this is where we're at, and this is what he has to work with. But man, it's hard to. I just can't do super flex this way. So I don't get it, but maybe he can pull out a win here in the first year or two based on the rest of his roster.
Yeah, the anchors isn't the quarterback on Nate's team. It's every other position. So you can kind of say, well, as long as I get a starting quarterback to put into the lineup and get me a baseline level of production, that and Derek Carr does represent that. So if that's how his plan was to kind of go in the draft, like I'm going to target Carr in the 5th, 6th round, then I mean, he executed it. I don't know. It's right now. We find out like in season what works and what doesn't work.
Carr was on fire until about it looks like week 12, 13. Well, 12, and then week 13. He started last 5-6 weeks of the season. He had he had one.
Yeah, even when Waller came back, he wasn't great. Like he got hurt and he maybe even came back. It's funny because people were expecting him to not be out that long, and he was out longer than expected, and it still looked like he needed more time to be fully 100%. So obviously a significant injury to Waller, I think that's your best player on your team. And to the touchdown point, that's kind of always been the case, though, and it's probably still going to continue to be the case as long as they have Josh Jacobs. How many drives end with Josh Jacobs getting to the end zone as opposed to Derek Carr needing to throw it in? And I was maybe worried for Josh Jacobs last year because the offensive line, they lost some pieces, and is the offensive line not going to be as good? And Jacobs did just as well. So probably going to be the case where Derek Carr maxes out at 25 passing touchdowns as his absolute ceiling.
I agree.
Yeah, I do too. I just when he had such a good start to year last year, I thought he finished higher than that. But I didn't remember that he ended up.
No, it's definitely surprising based on the year he had. I actually thought he finished higher too. I thought he was a QB1. So no, not getting there.
So I was drooling right now, figuring I was going to get Elijah Moore and Kenny Pickett as my 2 picks.
That would have been amazing.
And then Elijah Moore went right in front of me, and I was ready to, I don't know, reach into my screen and choke this guy, but it is what it is. I'm okay with. I got Kenny Pickett and Devonta Smith back. I mean, that's still it's a nice consolation prize anyway. But it would have been nicer for. I like Elijah Moore better than Devonta Smith, but Devonta Smith's a pretty damn good receiver. So
same draft class. Yeah.
Yeah, I still like Smith a lot. Pickett, the funny thing is, I just heard on a podcast someone say that he's basically like a Derek Carr. So that'll be interesting. We'll see, but that could be a good thing. Hey, Derek Carr's played a long time, right? So as your 3rd quarterback, I love it. I mean, he's gonna be drafted in the 1st round. He's gonna get a shot here to be a guy. So as your 3rd, I like it very much. Devontae, I still like a lot. He's a guy who can separate and get open. We'll see if they continue to develop Hurts there. Good picks.
Yeah, I wasn't. Waller went next. It's I don't like Derek Waller, and Scott, I know how much you don't like him either. So, but what area? You like Waller though, right?
Oh, I like the value here relative to. Especially where he's going last year, he was probably a 2nd round, maybe 3rd round pick in startups, and to fall to the early 6th, I think that's the good value I want. Assuming he comes back healthy, he should still be the alpha. Assuming they don't get Devontae Adams. I mean, does Allen Robinson come in there and really take targets away from Waller? I think he takes targets away from the Zay Jones and the Bryan Edwards of the world, but for the most part, I think Waller's safe in terms of his volume. He's a bit older than the guys who went before him, like Firemoth, Goddard, Hawkinson, but I think I'd still rather take Waller ahead of those guys in a dynasty startup. And the fact that he's this, I guess a round and a half later than Hawkinson. I know you're a big Hawkinson fan, John. I'm not so much. So I think it's great value on Waller. And clearly this team is setting up to where they're punting running back. And if you're going to do that, and you said there are 3 flex spots in this league, right, John?
Yeah.
Those are the type of leagues where I don't mind the 2 tight ends format, right? When there's a lot of flex spots, because if there's only, like, when I don't want to do this is if there's only 1 flex spot, then you're saying, well, I'm basically playing it as a 2 tight end league now, right? You're totally changing how you played relative to everyone else. But if you've got, even if it's 2 flex spots, you at least have that 1 for flexibility. But with the 3, you play.
It's 3 wide receivers, 2 flex, and a super flex. Sorry about that. So
2 flex. Okay, but still. Like you take one of those tight end spots and saying, if weeks they're both healthy, I'm playing both Kittle and Waller with the tight end premium. It's probably better than most wide receivers I want to put in that spot anyway. And then you still have that 1 flex spot that you could use for your flexibility. So as long as there are 2 flex spots, I like doing this. But if there was only 1 flex spot, then I like the strategy less because you take away your flexibility completely.
Right. I'm not a Waller fan. I like Hawkinson better than Waller right now. So it's just where I'm at, where I feel. I think Hockenson is like tight end, probably tight end 5 for like 5.
Makes sense.
Then my favorite guy in the entire league, Chris Godwin. I had to watch somebody. I had to watch Jeff Bell take him over here, which hurt my heart, but it is what it is.
I've been feeling like Godwin's been overvalued just in some startups I'm seeing. But I think that's the value you want for him coming off the late ACL tear. You might not produce much next year. Like I feel like people are maybe ignoring that injury risk a little bit, but this is the range where I think he actually becomes a value.
He dropped like 20 points, like 20 spots in everybody's rankings. I mean, he's not going to be back until in Dynasty rankings, he's dropped like 20, 25 spots. That's a little bit abrasive for me. He might be back. Who knows with ACLs right now? He might be back when the season starts, but I'm thinking somewhere around October. Like towards the middle of the season, he'll be back.
Even if he comes back September, he might be till October before he's like fully 100%.
Right. Yes.
Real quick on that, people are saying, was he a free agent and all that? Okay. Allen Robinson did the same thing. He tore his ACL his last year in Jacksonville. The Bears still gave him big money. He came in, he had a good year. Now, granted, he tore it earlier, so we maybe have a month or two where he's not going to be at the same point. But Robinson came in right away and proved his big contract, and then he had an even bigger year the next year. So Godwin's going to get probably 12 to 14 million a year. He's going to get a 3 or 4 year deal. Nobody's going to be scared away by that. He's going to get big money and go somewhere. Maybe go team up with McLaurin in Washington and, get them a quarterback, and
heck, maybe he goes to the Raiders.
Up and running. So yeah, I
think he's going to Jackson. I think he's going to Jacksonville myself.
Would help you, Trevor Lawrence.
It would be
for sure.
Oh, that would be. Oh my God.
As soon as he's healthy, he's got to be the one there. Are they basically saying we'll take a couple more months of recovery, but we'll upgrade from Chark to Godwin, both coming off ACL tears, right? I mean, for Godwin.
Sure, I'd do it.
They got a couple decent receivers that were like Jacksonville's team was. They just didn't perform last year. I think they have a lot of talent on the team, but everybody got hurt. Nobody's on the same page when they were.
Somebody might have called that when they hired their coach.
One of the worst head coaches we've ever seen in NFL history. Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure who said that or on what podcast, but definitely someone somewhere said that. So just
somebody.
You probably did. Actually, you probably wouldn't have heard it on the Full Press Packers pod when you were ranting about that. But yeah, because it's funny. I joke with this, like Gus Bradley with the Jaguars, right? Like his winning percentage is awful, and it's still like way better than Urban Meyer's. So
yeah, right. That's sad.
Yeah, well,
not to rag on Gus Bradley. He's a good dude.
Yeah, sorry, Gus.
Maybe just not a head coach.
I think Laviska's he's a pretty good receiver. I think he underperformed last year too. He's somebody that's gonna make a bounce back. If you get Chris Godwin on there and then draft one of these young stud players also to be on the outside, I think Godwin would be a real. And they're gonna bring a tight end there too. They're not gonna go with James O'Shaughnessy or Luke Farrell.
Oh, they're gonna sign somebody.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Mike Gesicki. I think so.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Although he might get franchise tagged and play that Kittle role, which I would like too. So either way,
they got Hunter Long there, which I like him too. They got like 17 tight ends in the league, so I think they can let one of them walk. It is what it is. Hunter Long's not Mike Gesicki, but he's still a pretty good athlete. I mean, he's all right.
Do they still have Adam Shaheen there?
They do. Well, this is probably his last year, I think. Yes, but
sorry,
I'm a Dolphins
bring up
fan,
that name, guys.
I'm a Dolphins fan. So, all right. So here, this was Alvin Kamara fell all the way over here to the 6th round.
He went 602 in mine, so that's right about where his value is. Then I also heard he was the equivalent to the 109 in one of the I believe on the DTC calculator he was the equivalent to the 109. That's not right to me. So he's going to be that offense. He's going to be that
receiving
offense.
Yards anymore. He doesn't have a quarterback. There's no. I don't know who the quarterback's even going to be.
The offense isn't changing. It's Pete Carmichael. It's still the same offense. We know exactly what Kamara does in it. They don't have anyone else. We'll see if Michael Thomas plays. He just redid his contract, so he'll be sticking around. We'll see if he actually does. And then who's the quarterback? I almost wish there was not a good quarterback, because then he's going to get more volume. Yep. So I really don't care who it is, other than maybe if it's Taysom. Maybe hurts him a little bit in the pass catching, but again, he's still going to get the volume. And I'm for 6th round, absolutely. Give me Kamara all day.
I want it to be a quarterback that can't move, that dumps off to the running back all the time. That would be
Yeah, we
Kamara.
don't want
That's-
Taysom
Jimmy
Hill,
G.
right?
No, we do not
Yeah.
want Taysom Hill. Jimmy G would be
Jameis.
good. Jameis would be awesome. I don't care where Jameis goes. The team's going to be like Super Bowl contender.
My joke is that Jameis is going to end up back with Tampa, but that'd be hilarious.
It's
I
probably the
could
truth.
see it. I could see it.
I mean, if you're Tampa's perspective, the only reason we moved on from him is because Tom Brady. was
Because you had Brady. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. Yeah,
Right.
I get
Maybe
it.
they might have
I
kept
get
him.
it.
Right. And he looked pretty good last year in New Orleans. So he looked pretty good until he got hurt.
Showed he could cut down on the turnovers, right? If
Yes.
and it's
Well, he had that one game.
maybe Arian's system isn't the great for. Maybe we don't actually want him to go to Tampa because then he goes back to his old ways.
No,
right?
no, we do. We do.
Well, actually,
No.
we can like that for fantasy. That's fair.
Yeah.
Shut up, Scott.
Mike
All
Evans volume. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Brees Hall to Jeff Bell. So he's stacking up running backs here. Isaiah Spiller to Craig, who I like. This is getting really running back stacked here, but that's
Taking
okay.
the punt, the QB2 approach, right? Like maybe we see him take a few shots later as his QB2 as guys we'd maybe view more as QB3s. Or if you got 2 or 3 of those guys, you kind of find a way to plug him in for the matchup on a week-to-week basis. So you're not sold on this is my guy is in my QB2 spot every week. So
The other thing we don't know is we don't know what their campus roster looks
Right.
like here. And so he may be loaded at quarterback and just saying, listen, I'll wait a year and I know I have guys coming in. So that's the other factor here that we don't know. That's the other thing with Nate too, where we're kind of ragging on him here for not taking a quarterback, but maybe he has the 2 top college prospects. I don't know who he has. So
yeah.
maybe if he could just buy a year and then he's going to have these guys coming in. But I would have liked to see, even though I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy, pair Cousins with Lamar and the rest of that roster over a guy like Spiller, who I think is kind of a luxury at best. You're not going to play him over Gibson or Barkley. So,
No.
I don't know at this point. Spiller's not a great prospect, but he'd still be a good player probably and be around for a while. So running back depth is never a bad thing. But adding that second quarterback is a little
Especially
bit
here
more
because you're running out of options at running back. So it was pretty. I haven't even taken a running back yet. So, but I mean, it is what it is. But I'm not going to for a while anyway. But this is part of my trade with Andrew. I got Matt Corral here. I think Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett are pretty much interchangeable as far as they both have their flaws. They both have their their strengths and weaknesses. I watched Matt. Matt. What the hell?
Waldman.
I watched Matt Waldman's breakdown of both of these quarterbacks, and
film room. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Waldman's stuff is awesome, and he broke down and he said pretty much these guys, each one of them has a certain amount of flaws. Matt Corral can really read through defenses, but tries to push the ball downfield too much, and Kenny Pickett just gets scared in the pocket sometimes. So, we'll see. I mean, if one of these guys pans out, that's fine. I got a nice quarterback. They're never going to get cheaper than they are right now in this draft. So.
If one of them really hits year one, you've got the solid points guy where you can kind of, you can pick between whatever rookie hits and Lawrence as your QB2 every week, right? You can play the matchups.
Right. And
if they don't, well then, okay, I have to play Trevor Lawrence every week. Oh no. Right. Especially if we expect him to step up from last year. I don't think anyone's expecting for him to produce what he did this in 2021.
No,
at least we hope so.
He's got some growing pains too, so I don't think he's going to walk into a quarterback 1 like quarterback 7 or quarterback 6 next year. Anyway, I think he's going to be a mid-round. But I'm expecting 2 years from now, Trevor Lawrence to be at his peak.
Just don't produce as the QB 22, 23 every week, right? Like as long as even if he's close to the QB 15, 16, you're probably okay with that considering what you're getting in Josh Allen in the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, you're going to get an automatic 25 points every week, whether you like it or not, and nothing more, nothing less, pretty much.
But it's funny, we're talking, okay, the crazy good running back start, and then suddenly they go Rodgers, Cousins, right? Like that's a great QB duo for that crazy good value at running back.
Sure is.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Keenan Allen. Every year I'm like, oh, it's Keenan Allen's last year. Oh, it's Keenan Allen's last year. Oh, it's Keenan Allen's last year. And
most people keep saying that too, right? Because he keeps always being a value.
Sticks it up my ass. So, yeah, it is what it is.
My favorite rookie running back next.
Mr. Walker. So, why do you like him?
I think he's the best pure runner. And I think with Walker, it's less about the draft capital. Obviously, you'd like him to go early. I think he needs to go to a team that's got the O-line. And if he does, I think he could be the most productive of these rookie running backs. I think any team that's going to draft Hall and Spiller, they're probably not going to say to them, you're not catching passes ever, right? They're probably going to have that role. So probably a safer floor than Walker. But if Walker ends up behind the right O-line, I think he's got the highest ceiling. He's the Jordan Howard as opposed to taking Devontae Booker. Right? Like that's something, I remember that draft class. I had Booker, Dixon, CJ Prosise, probably Kenny and Drake all ahead of Jordan Howard. And Howard ends up being the guy because he got the opportunity. And I think he was probably a better pure runner than most of them. I might say Booker was better, but I think maybe I was maybe a little too high on Booker. But yeah, so I'm kind of drawing those comparisons and getting away more from the pass catching backs, especially in this league, only half point PPR. You may be more focused on the guys that are the better running backs. So again, for him, I think it's going to be landing spot more than draft capital. Go to the right team, the right offense that can allow him to get a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah, he's not known for his hands anyway. I don't think he ever caught. I think he caught like 3 balls.
13 receptions.
Catches. Yeah.
But then before that, I think it was single digits, right? So it's not what we want to see.
Yeah, but he's a good runner, as far as that goes. But I think that 5 touchdown game, really I was watching that game live when he went nuts. So
unbelievable. Yeah, just a beast.
Josh Jacobs, I was kind of if I was going to take a running back this later, my next turn, if Jacobs fell one more round, I would have definitely picked him up here. But that's Christian took him over here. I'm not a huge Josh Jacobs fan, but I respect him. I think he does pretty well for where you get him at in these drafts. He's only 1 round further than Nick Chubb. That's
and to be fair, those are the running backs you want in a more of a half point PPR as opposed to a full point PPR. So knowing the format, I think that's great value on both of them. So
agreed. And this is what coaching changes do for players too, because I was not in on Jacobs. I had no shares at all, and now I think I have 2 or 3 already that I've acquired because his value's down a bit, and now we have a new coach. We don't know it's not Gruden's offense. Gruden's gone. So how are they going to employ the running backs? He's clearly the most talented one on the roster, and so I expect them to use him.
So we got Scary Terry here. Heard Kevin again, and he went back to back with Calvin Ridley, which I think Calvin Ridley is just kind of like, I think we talked about this last week, Scott, that I think he's just kind of sick with the situation there. He wants to go to a contender, and he wants to make a lot of money and be solid somewhere, not just kind of play for Atlanta, who's terrible. So I think he's going to play. I would have some issues too if I was stuck in Atlanta, and even though there's a lot of they pass a lot there, but the team's just terrible.
Well, and you said it with the money too. This team, I think this year it's his 5th year option, so the paycheck, the game check is much bigger week to week. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta, I think, give the Falcons full credit. They didn't give him any flack for last year. Like, they still paid him every week. Like, they didn't try and and we don't know what kind of conversations the team had with him privately, but at least publicly, they've made all the right moves. Are they that patient though when the cap hits bigger this year? Do they, I suppose maybe. I mean, I guess they put him on the injured reserve or the non-football reserve.
Yeah.
So I suppose they could still save money in that sense. So it's maybe I suppose they could do that too. But he probably doesn't want to spend that whole year knowing that next year is the big year for free agency for him, right? If you don't play again this year, how much does that affect the future?
Right,
years?
he's going to have to come back.
Right. Yeah.
Unless he really is done with football, in which case then it's all over and this pick is wasted, right? Like,
yeah, right,
so
right.
We still really don't know, which I guess is why he's becoming such a value. There is so much risk there. So it's, can you stomach the risk? And if you can, then the reward is probably going to outweigh that risk once he does return to the field.
And with his current roster, it makes perfect sense to me. And now this Garrett Wilson pick makes sense. And now his whole roster makes sense. And his strategy is all coming together.
I think Kevin he's doing the opposite of Nate. He's setting himself up to, if I don't compete this year, it's not the worst thing in the world. If he does, and these players hit a year early, bonus, great.
Yeah.
He's got the running backs that at least can do that, but they're also young running backs that if you're not wasting this year, as opposed to like, oh, you have to wait a year to compete. Like those running backs will still be on their rookie contracts. And to be fair, those are the type of teams you should want Ridley on. The ones where if he does sit out, you're not panicking, worried because you're already kind of saying, I'm trying to acquire future draft picks. So yeah, this is the type of team that you'd want to draft Ridley on. To your point, Scott.
Agreed.
Yeah. Next pick, Sam Howell. It is what it is, dart throw, but you're running out of quarterbacks here, so. He's already got,
and they only had, and Christian only had Fields, right?
No, that's right. He traded away.
Correct.
Let's
Which,
double check.
I mean, I know Christian, he had Fields as the QB1 of the entire class last year. So I know he's a big believer in Fields personally. So he was probably actually really happy to see Lance go and Fields fall as opposed to the opposite. He might not have taken Lance there. Like he might have taken Dak, but knowing how much he likes Fields, that might have been the swaying factor for him. But two young quarterbacks, right? So that's how you build the team around.
Amari Cooper. I think he's overrated, but that's some people love him, some people don't. He's
7th round.
I do too, but enough people are saying that. Where again, he's going into value in drafts. Like
he's boomer bust. He's like super boomer bust guy. He'll have 44 points one week and then 7 or 5.
Yeah, for sure. And if you know that though, and you know that you set your team up for that, right? Like who else does he have? He has Stephon Diggs and Deontay Johnson. Like especially Johnson's more of a high floor guy. So it's a good balance for that. I mean, frankly, he's probably going to start all 3 of them every week anyway. And you hope the bust weeks for Cooper at least raised by a safer floor with Diggs and Johnson. Because I'm thinking like Cooper basically went exactly a full round after Chris Godwin. That screams value to me because I think those guys should probably, Godwin more upside long term, especially. But for this year, I think they should be close in a dynasty startup. So
that's
full round.
That's his wide receiver 3. It makes perfect sense too. That roster's coming together. Plus, he stacks him with Dak for as long as he's in Dallas. So.
Right. That's a good.
How long is he in Dallas for? That was my next question. How long is he in
At
Dallas
least
for?
one more year.
Are you sure he's not going to get traded this year?
No, he's not going to get traded.
All right. That's been the rumble around, but I don't know. I don't.
There's so many trade rumors about so many players because obviously anybody could be traded. I mean, if Carson Wentz can be traded, literally anyone could be traded.
Right,
I mean, that's just how it is now, and so that's just the philosophy we have. But you got to start looking at these contracts and going, does it make sense for a team to give up capital and take the contract? And there's very few teams that it could make sense for. If the Jaguars wanted to,
just about to say that.
There's a team that it fits, right? But other than that, I mean, there just aren't many teams. The Saints are 70 million over the cap right now. They're working on that. They're restructuring things, but a lot of these teams, because of the cap from last year, everybody's trying to figure that situation out right now. And these draft picks are so valuable, not just for the young talent, but also because they're so cheap. And so, we've seen the Rams trade away picks like crazy and it worked. Okay. It's a copycat league. We're going to see other teams do it too. There's just only so many teams that the GM has the pull and, can deal with the fan base if they're going to be giving up assets and taking on contracts, and then Dallas has dead money to deal with too. And they're already over the cap. So again, these situations just aren't going to happen as often as everyone thinks everybody's getting traded. There's going to be maybe 3 or 4 players of any fantasy relevance that get traded this year. And I think that's on the high end, to be honest with you.
We got Elijah Mitchell next, which
RB2 on the team.
Yeah.
Another high volume guy with Harris. So that's interesting. Honestly, 7 seems late for him based on what he did when he played and was fully healthy. I mean, he got 25 carries. I mean, it was his volume was up there with the top in the NFL.
The lack of pass catching, but that's always the case with that team, right? Like that.
Yeah,
they were never going to be a pass catching running back.
And also half PPR again. I worry less about that. So I just think I feel like that might be a good spot. I know normally I take those Niners backs that hit, and I usually trade them. But in this case, I feel like that might be a good pick.
Which they still can. I mean, they can still trade, just go and trade.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that option's there. And just to your point, 207 carries in 11 games. In the Kyle Shanahan era in San Francisco, the running back to get the most carries do either of you guys want to guess that? The most carries in any single season before Elijah Mitchell?
In San Francisco?
Yeah. Obviously, Devontae Freeman days in Atlanta.
I was going to say, okay. Yeah. I mean, they signed Jerick McKinnon. They had Tevin Coleman. I just don't remember those guys being high volume though. But
McKinnon was always hurt, right? And
maybe
Jeff
Wilson.
Into this. You're
maybe
thinking
Jeff
the right
Wilson.
season.
Jeff
No,
Wilson.
it's not.
I was gonna say Jeff Wilson too.
It's actually Matt Breida. That year, I think it was 2018.
Wow.
In 14 games, he had 153 carries, and that was the high mark of all these running backs they've had. 153 was the high mark, and in only 11 games, Mitchell's put up more than 50 plus over that. Right. So the way I've always been kind of fade the 49ers running back, especially the first one to get drafted, because the guy you want is probably the second or third or maybe the fourth guy. Like I've kind of been on that the last few years, but this might be the case where it's finally stopped. I think they finally found the guy. Yeah, some injury concerns, but every time he was in there, it was always him. He was the primary guy, and now that that was not the plan going in. Right? Like they kind of lucked into the fact that he was a 6th round pick. Now that they know what they have in him, I expect to see that right from week 1. And yeah, I know some people saying, "Oh, they might bring in another back." Okay, but is the other back going to perform as well as Mitchell? I think you need that next 6th round pick to come in and hit anyway, especially after this guy's already shown it. And Shanahan's never trusted anyone to, the year with Burita. No, McKinnon got hurt, was out for the whole year. They were supposed to bring in Tevin Coleman. I think he got hurt. Jeff Wilson got hurt too, and Burita still only ended up with 150. So this, they've used Mitchell differently than they've used any other back, just in terms of the sheer volume. So I think this is a different case. I think they finally found their guy. So yep, I'm going to buy into a 49ers running back for the first time in a while who's not named JaMychal Hasty, because I've just saying draft him, or not even draft him, just pick him up for free everywhere.
Pick him up. Yeah.
All right. Then we got Baker Mayfield, which this might be his last year playing as a starting role in the NFL.
He's terrible.
Cam Akers, which this was another big fall. He was where did he go in your draft, Scott?
So he went 705.
So
basically that same spot.
Where is it? 7-0? Yeah, look at that. Wow.
I could maybe see him going instead of Mitchell, though. Like when we're talking about Elijah Mitchell, that would be maybe the only running back I would have taken over Elijah Mitchell that's left. Just because I also think the same thing. Coming off the Achilles, and they just gave him all the workload immediately. Once he's fully healthy, he has training camp next year. I don't see there any reason why they don't repeat that. If they were ever going to use a committee, it would have been now in the playoffs, and they decided, no, we're not going to. Coming off the Achilles, we're giving him 15 carries a week, easy. And yeah, he didn't look great, but let's also remember he's just coming off a torn Achilles a lot earlier than any of us thought he was going to come back. So,
in my C2C startup last year, before last season, so this was August of 21, I took Akers in the 13th round. So,
right, because we thought career ender.
I thought that was actually high, but I was like, whatever, I'll take the risk and we'll see what happens. And yeah, look at that. So he's up 6 rounds from that point.
Darrell Henderson was supposed to be the biggest, the best thing in town at that point in time. So,
and I mean, I think Henderson being there maybe caps Akers' passing down usage. That's maybe the one concern I have with him. But again, that's the same concern you have with Elijah Mitchell, right? So I think both of those picks are great, and it's just personal preference. I think I maybe prefer the draft profile of Akers still a little more, even though he's 2 years in the league as opposed to just 1 year in the league with Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We have Mr. Williams here. Now, here's the thing.
Kyron, right? Kyron Williams?
Yeah, it's Kyron Williams. Now, I think he is probably – where do you have him at running backs for rookies coming in?
I don't think I'll take a look. I've only gone through my tape evaluation, I think about a dozen guys, so there's still more to add to this, but I think I've got the main ones there, so –
all right.
I'm going to say I think it's outside the top 6 though. So I may be a little colder on what the consensus is.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a pass catching back, pass pro,
yes.
Really good at pass pro. So you may get on the field for 3rd downs.
I'm at 10th actually. So I guess I'm a real hater on Kyron Williams. Sorry.
He's like,
this is also just pure, this is 10th in my pure running film grade, so I'm not taking into account the pass catching. If I did that and had to rank him, he'd probably move up at least two or three spots. I'm trying to think. Brian Robinson, did he catch much at Alabama?
No.
So yeah, maybe he'd go up to RB7 where I have Robinson right now. If I would just take into account everything, but just pure running, I'm not the biggest fan of his. Where do I have him lower?
I like him a lot. I think he's just a little bit too small. I think he can do everything. I think he's a great pass blocker, but great pass catcher. He can play in a slot. He can play anywhere. I just think that he's a little bit too small. If he could beef up a little bit, but that might slow him down. But I think he's the running back 3 in this class.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I'm the Kyron Williams hater then. Maybe
it's
it's because the Notre Dame Williams guy, right? Like I hated Dexter Williams. But Dexter Williams also couldn't catch a pass to save his life. So they're the exact opposite, to be honest.
I like him better than Kenneth Walker. That's where I have him. So that's just it is what it is. It's
so. Interestingly enough, in the same spot, so he went 7-7. So at 706 and 708 in my startup went the rookie picks 105 and 106. So if we're looking at similar value, Kyron Williams wouldn't be anywhere near those picks. So it looks like it's quite a reach. And then if you look at the next two players that we're just about to get to here, I'm not sure it makes any sense to me at all. But again, maybe these Thebby guys know way more than I do. But when you're talking about a guy who's produced consistently, and then another guy who's proved he can run and catch, I don't understand the pick at all.
Yeah, Aaron Jones here. This is Nate. Nate took this is one of the trades for Nate. He's got Aaron Jones here, and then
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones back-to-back pick. That's amazing.
That's kind of where it's been. It's the norm nowadays. That's kind of the norm right now.
Really, that's crazy. They're that
close to each other. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, this is kind of where Dillon was going the last couple of years, anyway. So this is really more just speaking how far Aaron Jones has fallen.
Dillon went 806 in mine, and Aaron Jones went 1003. So it's a 2-round difference. Yeah,
the crazy value on Aaron Jones at that point in 10th round. That's a no-brainer pick at that point because the upside, still catching enough passes too. So even if let's say Rodgers isn't there, Jones probably going to be
he'll be the
second.
Offense. Yeah.
Well, and to be, even with Jordan Love as quarterback, he's probably going to be second on the team in receptions again, like he's always been. So he's kind of got that. Crazy.
Then I was going to take Ryan Tannehill my next pick, even though I have 17 quarterbacks already. I was literally going to take Tannehill, and Jeff took him. So
yeah, his value's fallen a ton too, but he still has the weapons. He was
like the quarterback 3 2 years ago, and then last year he took a shit because his team took a shit.
Right.
And that's. I like. Let's see who Jeff's got. He's got Tannehill, and he's got Burrow.
So Kyler and Burrow, with Tannehill's his third. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
he traded up to get 2 of those top 7 quarterbacks, like you were talking about, Kyle. Yeah. And I think that's a very, very prudent startup strategy. And then you can backfill with some of these guys, and then of course you have your Debbie line coming down. So yeah, that's I really like that strategy. It makes a lot of sense, especially for a guy that we know is going to have a strong Canton roster.
You're right. Exactly. Unless I get lucky somehow. Probably not going to happen. Drake London over here at to Philly Cheese at the 7:30 or 7-11. So I mean I like London. You really can't say too much bad about him. So
especially compared to what is that 4 rounds, almost more than 4 rounds later than Treylon Burke's.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
okay, so you're on the board here for the 7-8 turn. You want to show us who's available at each position here?
I know, and John also has a list of players he wanted to. He was
okay. Well, I want to see who's on the board.
That was an hour and a half ago. Jeez.
How do we go on?
Let's see who's on the board. Yeah, this is what we do, John. We just keep talking.
These guys are busting balls in the chat saying this is the longest pod ever, and the guys just bullshitting right now. So
yeah, well, that's what we do.
That's what happens. We're losing.
All right. Well, I see 3 names already kind of jumping out at me, but let's go by position here.
All right, quarterback Desmond Ridder, Carson.
I mean, you got to take Daniel Jones here. No, that's a joke.
Luckily, again, John, the fact that he's 4 quarterbacks in doesn't Daniel Jones, your QB5 in a sense isn't bad, but you also don't feel like you have to do that.
Yeah, right.
So the only name that really jumps out to me, I mean, I like Zeke, but I just don't want him now. I mean, I want Michael Carter is who I want to take
out of that group. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then
there's a few names here that I like.
There's a lot of names here that I
like. A lot.
I almost don't want to take Carter right now because I want to take 2 of these guys, but
yeah.
The way running back's been falling, maybe you can afford to take that risk.
Yeah, I mean, at this time, YOLO, I guess I don't really need to take. I don't really care. Michael Carter's not going to save my life if I don't take him right now. So.
And the one thing I'll say about tight ends is that, again, I liked Waller, but I don't love taking the tight ends in this range because I think, the ones that'll go a round or 2 later will still probably produce close to the guys you'll be taking now. Mm-hmm. So I know, John, you've got your eye on one guy in particular. I've actually got my eye on a different guy, specifically with your team as well. And I think you can get either you risk, I think, taking maybe both of them go in the next 2 rounds, and you don't get them at the next turn. but I might take that risk and just see whatever tight ends fall there. So I really would think, if you haven't gone tight end yet, I think it's too late to go in, and it's too late to get the top guys. It's too early to get the next tier. So
yeah, you can wait. You can wait.
I like Michael Pittman here.
Pittman would be my first pick right now.
Yes.
I wouldn't even think I would take him. And then
I'm looking at my rankings. I think he's the highest ranked of the wide receivers that are left.
My next pick is either Brandon Ayuk or Michael Carter, and I think I don't, or else I can go young again and stick with Olave, but I don't really know I don't know. There's a couple guys here I want to pick, but I think the smart thing to do would be.
You've already got 2 rookie quarterbacks. If you're going to invest anywhere at the rookie positions, like the quarterbacks seem to make the most sense. Although this does seem like a really good wide receiver class, but
there's a lot of receivers still left that I think you can get similar ones.
I want Jameson Williams. I think I can hold out for him. I mean, Jameson Williams, I think, is the best receiver in this class. I mean, I think he's better than Treylon Burke in reality. So,
if you feel that way, you should probably take him. But
I'm going to take him and Pittman because I don't think that Michael Carter is going to give me the same upside long term than Jameson Williams will.
I think you can get a Michael Carter. You can trade for a Michael Carter at some point. So
as opposed to force the running back pick, solidify your wide receivers, and then worry about running backs later. Like if you're basically saying you want to be the strongest at quarterback and wide receiver. So through 8 rounds, you've done nothing but pick those 2 positions. If you're happy with the players you've picked, then you've got strength at those positions. And it's all young. Like again, Pittman's going to be entering his 3rd year.
So DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Jameson Williams, Michael Pittman. That's a great core with varied skill set.
Makes for tough decisions weekly start sit, but that's that you worry about that in season, right? Like there's tons of time to worry about before that. So
I did get kind of lucky that I figured that I like Pittman a lot, but because Jameson Williams' injury, I think some people are going to be hesitant on him. And I feel like I kind of got lucky from him falling in my lap at this point in time. But
and even if he needs a year, then you've got 3 guys ahead of him anyway. So that's fine. He's kind of a luxury at this point. So if he hits, you're in great shape. And if he needs a year, then you can also wait. So either way,
I didn't like Pittman last year, but I like coming into last year. But as the season progressed, I think he just turned in, especially if they get a quarterback upgrade this year.
Yeah, he's one of my most rostered receivers. So I have just a ton of Pittman. Well, I think I have to disagree with you a little bit because didn't you try to trade me for him a couple times?
Well, that was in season though, after he actually started producing with Carson Wentz, right? Like,
that could be.
So here's our mugs again. Oh my God, it's 1 hour and 36 minutes. It's supposed to be a 20-minute podcast.
Yeah. Okay. I've never done a 20-minute podcast in my life.
I suppose it's the league mates of yours that had to wait an hour and a half for you to make the picks, but
oh man.
That's not my problem.
Lunch mock. Let's go. Shit. Yeah, it's not really a mock. It's a draft. Sorry, guys. But you guys, thanks for joining me today. This is, I love doing this, analyzing shit. I can go through any draft and kind of look and see what people.
This is fun. It's great knowledge too. This is great information for right now for not just startups, but also for making trades. You can see where guys are going in startups and take advantage.
Watch 2 picks be made live in an hour and a half, and you still got all this actionable content out of it, right?
Boom.
And you got to see our pretty faces for like 10 seconds before and after. So
look at that.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Kyle, you want to just kind of say it again in case I didn't catch in the beginning of the show where they could find you at?
Well, Pretty Face, Pretty Hat, which is from Going for Two, one of the places I write and do some live streams. I've got the press coverage show and the Dynasty Gambit. They both run press coverage on Mondays, Dynasty Gambit Thursdays. They both run every 2 weeks. So actually 2 days from now will be the next Dynasty Gambit. We're talking our quarterback and tight end tiers. It's kind of the tier trio of episodes. We did running backs, wide receivers over the last 2 episodes. Now quarterbacks, tight end. So that'll be Thursday. What is that? March 3rd. Yeah, March 3rd, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Going for Two Live network, which is on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter as well. So look at the Going for Two Live networks for all that. And then full press coverage. I co-host the Full Press Fantasy Pod and the Full Press Packers Pod. Sorry, Scott.
Okay, Dynasty Junkies, Thursday night, 8:30. You can watch, you can listen, however you want to do it. This Thursday night, the March 3rd, we have Heath Cummings, the senior fantasy sports writer for CBS Sports. You can see him on Fantasy Football Today on CBS. He's a big Dynasty guy. He's we're going to talk a little bit of everything. It's going to be a great show, and we're going to keep those guests rolling. So you can find me at Scott Sidlow on Twitter. And yeah, man, we'll see you. Catch you on the next one.
I love Heath Cummings. He's one of my favorite listens on the CBS show.
Awesome.
With that's a great show. So
Richard,
all right, guys.
and
yeah, Richard, and who's the main guy? I don't know why I can't remember the main show.
I can't think of his name right now. Adam.
Yeah, not Adam Mazer. Anyway, we all know. As soon as I shut off, I know exactly who it is. But thanks a lot, guys. I'm John McGlynn, John McGlynn75 on the Twitter machine. Appreciate you guys tuning in, watching the show. I had a blast. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you later. Peace out.